Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm mindful that we're probably trailing in terms of schedules, but I'll keep it as crisp as it is possible. I'm absolutely delighted to be here amidst all of you this evening. My deep appreciation and thanks to Dun & Bradstreet, twofold. One is to invite me for the second consecutive year to be a member of the jury of the awards for the PSUs. It's indeed a privilege and an honor. And second, to invite me here to address you very briefly. I take a cue from what my predecessor, Mr. Neeraj Gupta, did allude to. I will sort of, slightly veer off track and give you the larger, bigger picture of the global scenario, which of course critically impacts you in terms of day-to-day operations as well, and then look at possible challenges and opportunities that await you. You just scan the global environment currently. The familiarity of the rules-based order, quote unquote, that all of us were given to understand, it's clearly getting decimated. It's anything but a rules-oriented order, far from it. What is even more worrisome is the systematic breakdown of the international, multilateral, institutional order. At one point, we were all very proud of referring to the fact that the World Trade Organization was the arbiter of pretty much everything that was to do with international trade. But I think I would not be too cynical to say that today we can pretty much write the obituary or the epitaph of the WTO. It's as dead as a duck as it can get. Just to give you an illustration, the dispute settlement mechanism or the dispute settlement body of the WTO has not been reconstituted for the past 4 years plus. And you have an entire logjam of disputes between different sovereign member states of the WTO, all lined up and awaiting a resolution. The third is the fact that you look at, there is increasing weapon, and I don't want to sound political here, because I've been a career civil servant, I'm extremely averse, but there's an increasing weaponization of economic policies that we clearly see playing out, which is very detrimental. I'll park my thought at that, lest I skate on thin ice. What is equally worrisome as a consequence is that the market access regimes have got highly restrictive. What was once supposedly free trade is anything but that. You also have non-tariff barriers, non-tariff measures that are at play. So as a result of this, there is increasing stress and risks that are sort of bedeviling the business environment for the PSUs as well. Look at what has happened on the cyber security front. What happened to JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, just 2 days ago. By even conservative estimates, the production cycle has been set back by a significant amount of time globally, and at the very least, at the minimum, about $2 billion of loss is what is awaiting JLR and consequently the Tata Group in the larger context. So the point I wanted to drive here is that the cyber vulnerabilities are so humongously exponential now. So it's as well that you need to get your act together, and there is no room whatsoever for any complacency on this score. And it's only at your peril that you can risk getting this done. Look at the overall landscape of the geopolitical strategic environment. It's fraught with hotspots bedeviling the world, and I will sort of just allude to shipping phenomena. You are privy to what is happening on the Red Sea, the Houthi attacks. Well, that may be intended for someone else, but at the end of the day, the collateral damage is for the entire international trade. And just to give you a sense of what the perspective is, the shipping lines are now to move to the Cape of Good Hope, adding a good fortnight of incremental voyage with consequential rise in costs, wages, and all of the damages that come in its wake. And the hotspots, in the South China Sea, you look at the threat of piracy, etc. All of this impacts shipping. And why do I say this? The simple piece of stat bears out what I intend driving home from a business perspective. 85% by volume and about 70% by value of all merchandise, traded commodity goods, exempt trade, moves on the back of merchant ships. So any disruption to shipping and the consequential logistics supply chain has serious impacts on the way that you do business. That said, let me also look at some of the silver linings that are available. Mr. Gupta alluded to the fact that, if I wanted to supplement that, from the erstwhile commanding heights of the economy that the PSUs had, to now very, very strategic spaces. And given the thrust of indigenization, it's only that I think you have a goldmine of opportunities that await you. The fact that we are a nation with a consistent GDP growth rate of around anywhere from 6.5 to 6.8%, whichever metrics you look, and no matter what the source, whether it's World Bank, is the IMF, the Asian Development Bank, the OECD, and what have you. By far, the most developing country with the highest GDP rate year on year. So I think it's an opportunity that you can ride your back on. Secondly, the demographic dividend, the fact that for the next 20 to 30 years, you have a young, skilled population. It's incredible as an opportunity that awaits you. You look at the fact that you have gerontocracies, aged population in the other, even in the developed world. So I think if you are able to capitalize, leverage on this opportunity in terms of skill sets, that will, I think, take you significantly forward. Let me also emphasize the criticality of ESG as an overall paradigm, environment, social, and governance. It's normally that you typically tend to pay tokenism, symbolic reference to ESG, but at the end of the day, you are now truly in a global world. Fortune 500 companies have started embracing ESG in very, very substantive terms on an enduring basis. I'll just give you one illustration. Thus far, most corporates looked at the bottom lines and the top lines of their own shareholders. Gone is that era when you need to now transcend and look at stakeholder value accretion, which means move beyond the shareholder. Now, in this, the proposition, this is a financial paradigm of integrated reporting, the IR, propagated by the International Integrated Reporting Council. It's now the new norm that is now being adopted. And I'm sure this will stand you all in good stead. The G element of ESG is often at a discount. You look at, you pay symbolic regards to environment, social, but the governance element is often lost sight of. And that's where you need to be very, very robust and very strategic. Let me also bring in another concept here, coming as I do from a 6-year tenure as Additional Director General of Shipping for 4 years and as Director General of Shipping for 2 years and then eventually as Secretary in the Ministry of Shipping. There was and this is going back to the period from 2011 to 2016, I'm sort of winding up here. Thank you. It's always good to have a lady applying the guillotine so that we know where to really stop. But that said, I'll just briefly wind up by saying, during my tenure from 2011 to 2016, we tried to push the envelope with the PSUs that please sort of have a strategic collaboration with the Indian registered shipping sector, because there is a time that will come, we are expending $85 billion as freight rate, carrying just about 5.4% on the back of Indian ships. We were trying to push the envelope for reservation, a smart strategic reservation, not mindful, about 1/3 of the output of PSUs to be carried. I don't think it gained much traction, but here we are at an inflection point in the international landscape. Fast forward 9 years from then to where now you're looking at indigenization and pushing the envelope of what is a national endeavor. So I think these are some of the elements which I wanted to share. Much more, I could have probably spent a little more time, but all I can say is that the logistics landscape, we were thus far also known to have one of the highest logistics costs of around 14% of our GDP. This is an utter contrast to about 8 to 9% of mature developed nations. However, we stand corrected, courtesy and NCAR study National Council of Applied Economic Research, which has just been released, which says that we are a good 8 to 9%. But there is still a certain area of skepticism as to where the numbers are. The National Logistic Portal, that's something which is again urged for advocacy. With that, I think all I can say is that the time has come for the PSUs to get their act together, I'm sure, and also to rise to the occasion. I mean, given the fact that we have this Viksit Bharat and the Amrit Kal vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, and I think all of you need to contribute this as part of a nation building. With that, my heartiest congratulations to all the award winners. My best wishes to those who lost out, who didn't make the cut. Please take inspiration that you have the next year around, and to rake in the honors. And with that, I would like to again thank the organizers for this opportunity provided to me, and may I convey my very best wishes personally and professionally to all of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.